Okay guys, today we're talking about fractions and mixed numbers on a number line. So first of all, a number line, you guys have seen them, we've been working with them. It's just basically made up of a series of points. Sometimes you'll see a bunch of dots on a number line. You will always see little marks that represent certain numbers on that number line. On this number line, whole numbers are labeled, so from 0 all the way to 4. But the thing I want you to notice is that there are arrows in between. So that's representing all of the numbers in between the whole numbers, which mean that we could have fractions. We could also have some mixed numbers as well. Well, what is a mixed number? Yes?
A whole number that's added at a decimal point.
Yes, it's a whole number, she said, added with a decimal point. Can we also have a whole number attached to a fraction?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Both types are called mixed numbers. It's when you have a whole number and then a little extra, but you're not quite to the next whole number. So maybe you have 1.5, not quite 2, but it's more than 1, so you're in between 1 and 2, okay? So 1.5 would be represented like this right down here, okay? 1 and then a fraction 1/2 means 1 and 1/2. How could I write that as a decimal? How would I write 1 and 1/2 as a decimal? Think about money.
1.5.
Yes. Could I also do 1.50? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure you guys understand that those are the same amounts even though they're written differently. One's a fraction, one's a decimal. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of practice. We're going to name the fraction, or maybe it's the mixed number. Okay, if it's a point greater than 1, but it's not exactly a whole number, that means it's going to be a mixed number. If there's a point less than 1, it's not considered a mixed number, it's considered a what? It's either this word or this word. So if it's not a mixed number and it's less than 1, it's going to be called a what? Fraction. Okay. So point A is between 0 and 1. Okay, that means it's less than 1. Look at, for just a second, this little mark that's right here between 0 and 1. What do you think that's representing? Half of it. Okay, look where point A is. It's about midway or halfway between 0 and 1. So we might say that halfway between 0 and this point right here, which is representing 1/2, think about money. What's right in between 0 and 1/2? Okay, what about as a fraction? A lot of you are showing me decimals. Good. Your fraction should be 1/4. A lot of you are showing me 0.25 because we think about money like that, but I also want you to think of it in fraction form. Somebody else is showing 25 hundredths. Is that technically correct? Yeah, but can it be reduced?
To 0.2.
It can, and it should be 25 hundredths. If you think about that, how many 25s make up 100? 4. So if I have 125, that's equal to 1/4. Okay, that's where that 1/4 comes from. Okay, if we look at the distance from 1 to 2, I'm looking at point B. So I can see here that I have a line right there. It's not quite halfway between 1 and 2. Where do you think that point or that mark is at? Hang on, I don't want to know where point B is. I want to know this mark right here. Where do we think that is? It's not 1.5. It's probably more like what? 1 and 1/4, right. Okay, so if I had another mark right in the middle between 1 and 2, this would be 1 and 1/2. So point B right here is going to be what? Close, you're missing something. Close, you're missing something. It's greater than 1, but less than 2. So it's not going to be just a fraction, it's going to be a mixed number. A mixed number. It's going to be a whole number attached to a fraction. Close, but in fraction form. Yes. So point B is equal to 1 3/4, which is what a lot of you were showing me there for a while when I was trying to get you to tell me what this line was representing, and then this line. When we got here, I saw y'all change it to 1.75. Is that technically wrong?
No.
No, because they're equal, but we're talking about mixed numbers and fractions, so we want to make sure that we're writing them in fraction form today. Okay? Okay, here's an example. It says, Rashawn walked 2/3 of a mile. Denise walked 3/4 of a mile. Who walked farther? Okay, so which line is representing Rashawn, first of all? The top or the bottom?
Probably top.
The top, okay. And Denise is down here. So if I'm looking, if we say that 0 is like our starting point, and we want to know who walked farther, which point is farther down from the starting point? Yes, I'm seeing a lot of you with the correct word up on the board. Remember, Rashawn is on top, Denise is on bottom. Which point is further away from 0? That's who walked the farthest. Okay. All right, so guys, if you look at this point right here, compared to this point right here, which of those dots is further away from 0? Somebody tell me. Denise is. Okay, do y'all see the distance from here to here versus the distance from here to here? Look at that. It's slightly longer. Denise walked farther because her line down the number line is closer to 1 than Rashawn's is. Does everybody see that? How this point right here is closer to 1 than Rashawn's point right here. Okay? Does everybody understand why Denise walked farther?
Mm-hmm.
You think about a starting line, which is right here at 0, okay? And you look and see who walked the farthest. It's the one who's the furthest away from 0, closest to 1. Okay, what if I look down here? Refer to these number lines to compare the fractions. So if I'm looking at both of these number lines, and I want to compare the fractions down here, how would I know which one's greater? Is 2/3 going to be greater, which is represented by this point, or is 3/4 greater? Would 2/3 be greater, or would 3/4 be greater? Good. I'm seeing a lot of 2/3 is less than 3/4. Here's something else you can do for you visual people. Okay, if I were to break this up into 4 pieces, and if I were to have the same rectangle, but I'm going to break it up into 3 pieces, I didn't do a very good job. If I have 2 of these shaded versus 3 of these shaded, can you see that 3/4 is greater than 2/3?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, but you can also see it on a number line too. The line for 3/4 is longer, greater than the line for 2/3. Okay. Any questions on this so far?
No, ma'am.
Okay, here's some examples that we're going to do together. So erase your whiteboards. Name the fraction or mixed number marked by the letter A. Okay, now notice it's less than 1, so is it going to be a mixed number? It's less than 1. Is it going to be a fraction or a mixed number? Just a fraction, so there should be no whole number attached. It's just a fraction. Good girls. Yes. Yes. Is it exactly between 0 and 1? Or is it a little closer to 1?
It's a little closer to 1.
Uh-huh. This little mark is like 1/2, but that circle is right between 1/2 and 1. Yes, but as a fraction, what does that look like? 1, okay, so think about that. This right here is 1/4. right between 0 and 1 is 1/2. So A is represented by 3/4. Okay, if I were to make this a rectangle right here, ooh, too far. Let me undo that. If I made this a rectangle and I split it into 4 pieces, do you see how that A is right there on the 3/4 part? It's representing 3/4. Okay, does everybody understand why point A is representing 3/4? Can y'all see that visually? Okay, let's look at B. Let me erase this part so we can see better. All right, before we write our answer, I want you to think first. Is B going to be a fraction, which is less than 1, or is it going to be a mixed number? It's going to be mixed. Why? Because it's more than 1. Good. Okay, so y'all show me what you think it is. Good. Yes. Yes. More than 1. It's greater than 1. Yes. 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 Okay, I'm seeing a lot of this. Okay, if I were looking at this here and I drew my rectangle, that B is pretty much showing me 1 out of 4 equal parts. So 1 and 1/4. Very good. Okay, now looking over at C. Notice my numbers. I have 6 and 7. My point is between 6 and 7. So it's going to be a fraction or a mixed number. Mixed number, good. And it's going to start with 6. It'll be 6 and something. What is it? 6 and something. Look at this for a minute. What is that showing? Look very carefully. There's marks up there. I made them darker. Very good page. Yes, Avon. Close. It is before the half mark because it's not 1/4. Yes, good, good, good. Double check yours because it's a mixed number. It's 6. Right here is a 6. So it's going to be 6 and, if you look, it's going to be 2 out of 5 equal sections. Okay. Now our last one, looking at D, I'm between 7 and 8. So is it going to be a fraction or a mixed number? Mixed number, what's it going to start with? 7 and something. Okay, here's my mark so that you can see them clearly. Picture it as a rectangle if you need to. How many of those sections am I at? Very good. Awesome, guys. Make sure you write, double check that one. Put it as a fraction. Good. How many total sections do I have? Look right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 sections. How many of them are shaded? 3 out of the 5. Look right here for just a sec. I'm going to erase this. Starts right here, ends right here. I have these little marks in between. So do y'all see how I have 1 section here, 2, 3, 4, 5. My point is right here at the 3. So this is representing 3 out of 5 equal parts. So my mixed number, most of you had 7 and 3/5, which is correct. Sometimes it helps for you to draw it out. So if you, on your written practice today, you want to draw it out so that you have a number line and you make it like a rectangle like I was showing you to try to get you to see visually that this is 3/5, you can do that, okay? The important thing is for you to understand that we are looking at equal parts between one place on the number line to the next. Each one of these sections from one line to the next is the exact same size. Are there any questions on that? You gonna move up? You can just move up to that table if you want, at least just for now, and then you can come back to the back. Okay, here's our very last example for today. Okay, I have 3 fractions graphed on the number line. Are any of them mixed numbers? I heard somebody say no. Why?
Because
They're
they're all less
all less
than 1.
than 1. I knew what you meant. You were looking at 0.
They're less than 1.
They're greater than 0, but they're less than 1. So they're all going to be a fraction, not a mixed number. Okay? If you have trouble seeing, just help yourself, guys. Move up to the front. You can sit down on the floor just for the time being, and you can go back to your seat in a minute. Okay, so we're going to refer to this number line to complete E, F, and G. So if I'm comparing 1/3 to 1/2, here's 1/3. This is like 0 is like my start line. Okay, which one is greater? 1/3 or 1/2? Which one's got the longer line? Most of you are showing me something, either on your board or with your hand. Yes. 1. Okay, yes, good. So some of you actually wrote 1/2, and some of you drew out the symbol. 1/2 is greater. Very good. Okay, let's look at F. I'm looking at either 1/3 or, wait, these are all the same. Why are they all the same?
What's the point?
Let's fix this. Let's do 1/3 and
What's the point of this one?
3/4. I know, I think it was a typo because I copied this from the online book.
Oh, no.
Let's compare 1/3 to 3/4.
On F, it's
Good.
1/3 and 3/4.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, on the book.
Okay, 3/4 and 1/2. Thank you. All right, so y'all were showing me this for F. And then for G, if I'm comparing 3/4 to 1/2, I can see that 3/4 is way down here, comparing it to 1/2 right here. 3/4 should be greater than 1/2. Wait, 3/4 is greater than 1/2. Y'all make sure, because I changed the numbers. They were on the online book when I copied it. It was all the same problem. In your book, it's right.
Yeah, this is right.
Yeah. So I changed it online, up on the board for you. Okay. Comparing fractions, guys, you can use number lines. You can still draw pictures. Okay. If you like pictures and you like rectangles, you just have to make sure your rectangles are basically the same size. So if I were comparing 3/4, I would draw 3/4 compared to 1/2. I can still see that this is greater just based on pictures. Okay, but you've got to see it on number lines as well. Okay, you have the rest of class to work on your written practice. Today, numbers 3 through 6 are asking you to write an equation and then the answer. So make sure you write an equation with the answer for 3 through 6.